Do, 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 do.
Yeah.
Hello. We're live.
Live from the underground.
Look at that Hawaiian shirt. It ain't even Aloha Friday.
That's all he wears anymore since Daytona. I love it.
I know. Actually, this is, for those of you who can actually see me, this is what they call Aloha Uzi.
So oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Tony Fontana. How's everybody doing?
Good.
A lot of people. We're a few minutes late. Just blame Phil as we always do.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take it.
We're on Phil time. Yeah,
that's right. See, I mean, when you're wearing a shirt like that, everyone's on Phil time. Yeah. That's a man that is in no hurry.
South Florida, baby.
His house could be on fire. He's just gonna be walking out casually, the drink in his hand.
Yeah, actually, but he is always in a rush, and it makes it even funnier.
It is true. I have arguably the worst time management skills of any human in our community. Well, this is Snakes and Stogies, episode 139. Cray. 139, brought to you by the fine people, the Pacific Northwest, the Gendra, the Puget Sound Pythons, as well as BlackBoxCages.com.
Check them out. Facebook, Instagram, BlackBoxCages.com. They're awesome. And I just burned some mustache hair.
We heard it. I heard like that little
Did you really?
Yeah.
Billy, save me.
Oh God. With cup condensation. All right. So this is Snakes and Stogies. Tonight we are joined by Billy Hunt of Ubami Reptiles and Clay from, is it Tampa Snakes, right? Did I say that
Tampa
right?
Snakes.
Tampa Snakes. Sorry, man. I didn't want to butcher it. But we're gonna have a fun show. We're gonna talk about some Morelia action in the Sunshine State.
So real quick, before we get into it, we're doing something a little special this evening. We're giving away one of these THN beanies.
'Tis the season.
If you're in the chat, guess a number between 1 and 50. Closest person. Price is Right rules. Closes without going over. Wins this bad boy. U.S. only. Sorry, Scott.
Do we want to give it? We're at the 3-minute mark. Do we want to give it to like the 8 or 10 minute mark just to see if some people get in here? Or you want to just do it right now?
Well, wait a second. Jesus Christ. Chris just nailed it right on there. It's 36. Chris just hit it. All right.
Oh,
so, Chris.
There it is.
Wins a beanie. Cool.
That was easy.
Chris Trippy. All right.
Oh, my.
Send me your address and stuff in Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and I'll get it out. So, well, that was fun. All right.
I knew we should have waited a little while longer to build up some anticipation.
It's not rigged. At first I thought, I was like, wait a second. It's like, did he see my notepad?
Well, meanwhile, you told me that I was going to pick the number, and then right before
you never did.
I figured we would do it live.
Oh.
And then you're like, okay. Here's the notepad. It's 36.
Okay. All right. Well.
That's all right.
Cool.
We're off to
Johnny
a rough
Bear's
start.
Back.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He just got married recently. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats, Johnny.
So, everyone, what's new?
More plumbing issues at my house, so that was fun over the weekend. Sold some snakes, got some snakes for sale still, some corns, a couple of thorn scrubs. Hit me up. Check out my Morph Market page.
Delicious. Clay and Billy, you guys just got back from Tinley. You want to give us a synopsis?
Yes, yeah, go ahead, Clay.
Goodness. It was fun. I think the nightlife there was different than Daytona. in some ways better. I think it was simpler. It felt simpler than Daytona, just hanging out, smaller area.
Less debaucherous.
But, I met a lot of people that I didn't expect to meet. But definitely great networking. I feel like I should have been there last year.
Try telling you, man.
You were right.
You were posting a lot of pictures of a lot of folks that weren't at Daytona.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's what's cool about that show. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to see Mr. Paris himself and sit next to him and pick his brain a little bit, and bought a snake from him unexpectedly. So
that's cool. Are you at liberty to say what it was?
Sure. Yeah, it was a German lion jungle female.
Excellent.
I was lucky to be in the right place, right time, I think.
Nice. It's the way to do it, man. It's why you go, you know.
Did you guys drive up there? Or did you fly?
I flew.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Billy.
So I zoned out. Sorry.
He's still he hasn't got any sleep yet, probably.
Yeah.
He drove.
Well, Clay, did you bring the whole entourage with you as you do in Daytona, or did you fly solo?
No, I just came with Emily this time.
Right on.
Yeah, she liked it.
It's different, you know. You can't really explain it to people. It's just you have to go, and then you can compare it to Daytona and see what we're talking about.
Yeah, and everyone seems to tell me that it's more vendors, it's a wider assortment of animals, and it's 100% more business than fun, like partying, like Daytona is.
I think we drank more shots.
Partying.
I think we drank more shots than we did in Daytona. I don't know about you, Billy, but I did.
Yeah, you definitely gave me more shots than I was anticipating having.
Finally, someone got him back.
I was still good. It was definitely still good. But.
Why do you think that show is the way it is in comparison to Daytona, though? For people that have not gone, like myself.
For me, it's... Go ahead, Clay. Sorry.
It's like the Chicago vibe. I don't know. It felt like fall there too. I don't know. It felt different. Like Daytona is more a little more sprawled. The whole show in general. Mm-hmm. This was more. You're going to rub shoulders with everyone, and I think I saw some feedback about that. Walking through the aisles and everything is very difficult sometimes to get through, like a small busy marketplace. But what were you gonna say, Billy?
That's one of the big things is that Daytona is definitely more spread out. It's more, I want to say there's a more relaxed feel to it. Like everyone I've talked to, it's kind of a joke thing. I'm like, Daytona's the party show, Tinley's the business show, and there's a lot of truth to that. And then it's cool for me personally, because since I've done shows here locally in Florida, it gives me a chance to meet and see other breeders and, different species that we don't usually see down here. And, nothing against the guys here. It's just when you see the same vendors over and over, it's, nice to get out and see different things. And then, if there's species that you're looking for that nobody around here really has most of the time, then, you can network with those guys too in person. So just an overall, it's a good time. I suggest just going to both shows.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. And Clay, have you been out to any of the West Coast shows, like what is it, Pomona or any of them?
Nope, I want to though. Yeah, it's on my list. I was looking at one maybe this summer coming up, but when I get out there, I'll finally get a chance to see Brandon Wheeler's stuff. And he I don't know if you guys saw his outdoor diamond enclosure, but I saw that and I was like, whoa. So So I'd like to see that in person.
Nice. Very cool. It's actually funny you mentioned that because our good friend Sean, MP Cages and Exotics, he's in the group chat right now. He messaged me earlier. He's like, "You guys better talk about diamond pythons. There better be a lot of diamond talk tonight. Otherwise, I'm not." He's like, "I'm missing Monday Night Football for this, guys." So we definitely have to touch base on diamond stuff later.
Yeah, Scott asked about are there any other shows? Do any shows other than Hamburg have venomous like the European shows? There's a few now. So there's like that Midwest Venom Fest one, which I think is almost predominantly venomous from what I've seen. And then there's a few, but nothing I think to the level of what you see with Hamburg and some of the big European shows.
Yeah, there's one or two smaller shows in Texas that have some pretty good venomous. And then you've got Hamburg, Pennsylvania. And then honestly, Columbia, South Carolina used to be like the Southeast Venomous show. I don't know if it still is. I haven't been in a few years.
It's not.
But it's not.
No. It's been a couple years since I went. Last time it was pretty underwhelming. Saw a really nice Chlorecus, though. Like one of the nicest I've probably ever seen.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I just think that, seeing pictures from, Houghton and from International Snake Day, and it's completely different. Like even the way that they do their deli cups, like so many people in the United States, speaking of venomous at shows, it's usually a deli container with a paper towel or some sphagnum moss, and it has black or red electrical tape around the rim to secure it. It'll have a label that has, scientific name, whatever. And then that deli cup is in another case. Right. And then Nipper sends me photos from International Snake Day, and it's the same deli inside of a display case, but each deli has different substrate that's catered to that individual animal. And they put little pieces of naturalistic plant leaves and little baby succulents for the desert species. And it's not just it's almost like a micro display. They really are selling it over there, and it just goes back to that European ideology of more vivarium opposed to just, keeping it clean and sterile. It's very interesting to me. Well,
so was that jungle the only thing you got in Tinley?
Yeah, that's all I got. Billy also got a pair, I think.
Yeah, Billy came in with a handful of things, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I ended up with, I got that pair from Andrew. He's probably at least 6-7 months ago, and shipping just kept not working out with my schedule and his schedule and weather and all that. And finally got to the point I was like, hey, if you're going to Tinley, just bring them. We'll do it there. I got that, and I got a normal coastal from Kohler. That's really nice, and I'm really happy to get that one. It's doesn't have any red in its lineage or anything like that, so just cool to see how that's going to work out in the projects I have planned for it. And then I think I got 5 Chinese beauties. Really wanted to get into those, so since Larry Keller was there, I was able to go and talk to him, and he talked to me too and talked me into some stuff. So I'm happy. I've wanted to get deeper into those anyway. So pretty much I'm selling some stuff. I might as well go spend all that on stuff I wanted. So.
Yeah, right. I think it's funny. You were telling me that you billied yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a whole story to it. It's pretty funny, but yeah, I got a couple snakes from him, and then I went back and I was like, I'm stupid that I didn't get the male to go with the females. Let me do that. And then he ends up coming to the table and saying, hey, I got stuff I have space to display if you want to come check them out under the table. So he knew that I was the one he could, just put stuff in front of, and I'd throw money at him. So, but
that's what we do, man.
Pretty happy with him.
That's good. You got to strike when the iron's hot,
That's it. Yeah. So now I think I need to make some tough decisions because I got a lot of stuff going on. So the struggle we all have,
Yeah, right. So many snakes, so little time.
That's it.
Well, this is Clay's first time on Snakes and Stogies, and I feel like we know him and are incredibly impressed by all the work he's doing with the Morelia complex. But Clay, why don't you give us like a little intro about yourself for the people that are unfamiliar with Tampa snakes?
I'm from Southern California originally and moved out to the Atlanta area probably about, goodness, at this point, that was 96, I think it was, when I moved out there. So I was there for about 15 years. And that's where I got into Morelia through a girlfriend, actually, who had a jungle. She had that jungle for over 10 years. And so very thankful for her. Together, we ended up with a wall of snakes, like green tree pythons. We did some Amazon tree boas. We had coastals. I did try a pair of Dumerals, had no luck with them. And so tried a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and eventually moved out to Tampa and got out of the hobby for a little bit. Most of that was just due to logistics. When I moved to Tampa, more cramped place for the snakes, and tried to put them outside in an outdoor area that just wasn't equipped correctly, and I ended up getting out of it for a while and just had a pet snake for a while in a nice big enclosure in the house with a waterfall and that sort of thing. Just kept a pet for a while. Got back into it a few years ago. So mostly focused on diamonds and pretty jungles. And then right now I'm starting to move over to some pure line stuff. So like I'm looking at the MIAs right now. And I picked up the German, and so I want to play with some of that a little bit too. Diamond Jungle Jags, I've got 3 right now. I have what was supposed to be 3 females, but I found out I have a male, a really beautiful one that Vito produced, and he's going to go this year, I think. So, and then I have Adam Hollander, Diamond Jungle Jag, and an ultraviolet one. This one is a zebra neon line. So nice. Those 3 are pretty interesting to me. What was that?
Awesome.
I think that I'll be able to, I think the zebra I'm probably most excited about in terms of what crazy stuff I can get from a clutch from her. So I haven't decided yet which male I'm going to put her with, but I call her Chiquita. She's pretty crazy, so I'm hoping she goes this year.
Have you taken a picture with the banana sticker on her?
No.
You need to, bro. You got to do it. You got to just peel a little sticker off, stick it on her, take a picture. You got to do it.
Yeah. Have you not gotten any of the ocelot stuff at all? That seems like something that would sort of be in your wheelhouse with what I've seen, at least with what you're working with.
A little bit. I believe that the Vito Gamma that I have, I think that has some ocelot in it. So yeah.
Very cool. You said you have MIAs, or you're going to get them?
I have a female right now, and I'm potentially looking at possibly getting a pair. So if I do get a pair, though, I'm probably looking for someone who bought a pair and decided maybe it's not what they want to do. So I'm looking for something maybe, a couple years older or more. So.
All right, cool. Very cool. I'm a huge fan of that.
Yeah, all the stuff you had at Daytona was freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
And great looking displays too, man. Very cool.
It doesn't, to me, it doesn't cost much more to do that. You do have to buy an extra table for display. And, it's usually going to be, that's like what, $300. So that's a little more, but the displays are just kind of front end investment. You drop a couple grand in a few raised up displays. So that was the idea, was just to go ahead and bite the bullet at the very beginning. And, while I'm taking losses in the first few years of a business, this is the time to do it. If you're just starting this, that's what I was thinking. And, but it wasn't that expensive. Those aren't, the the focus cube habitat enclosures, they're not too expensive. The shipping is expensive on them because they come pre-assembled. They're already together, which is good because I can imagine all the plexiglass I'd break trying to screw those little screws in and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But that's cool, man. That's awesome. It's good to have another carpet guy down south, Can't let Billy have all the fun.
Can't have that. It was funny when we realized how close he was. He's literally 5 minutes from my place.
I remember Billy called me and he's like, dude, that guy Clay I was talking to, the guy with the carpets. And I was like, yeah. He goes, the guy lives like a little bit away from me. So excited. Loved it.
I could leave right now to go to the bathroom and then pop up in Billy's snake room right now. I could literally just leave for 5 minutes and next thing you know, I'll be there. That's how close we live.
That's awesome. That's good stuff, guys.
Seriously.
It's weird.
Very cool. Very cool.
You guys have meetings at the Chili's there?
We should though, right?
No.
Damn.
No.
We could alternate Chili's because we got like 3 within 10 minutes of us.
I think we have 3 around.
You don't
us.
appreciate any of them.
And hey, man, I haven't gone to a Chili's in like a solid 3 months at least. And I just brought it up to Anna Maria the other day. And the reason why is because the Chili's that's closest to us is just so bad. It's just a bad restaurant. They never have anything in stock. Their tap's broken. And it seems to be like a reoccurring thing because Matt and Jamie were telling me that the Chili's by them, they haven't had draft beer in 5 months because their quote unquote tap is broken. It's like, oh no, don't order anything with buffalo sauce because we don't have any celery. So Chili's is going downhill, man. I'm afraid.
I refuse to believe
Beginning
it.
of the end.
Nope.
No more crispers.
Fuck you, Hunt. Damn it.
Oh man. Oh.
So what is keeping diamonds in Florida?
Yeah.
Is that a struggle?
So I've heard that it's not. I've heard someone say that more than once that it's not possible to do that. That diamonds in Florida they basically need to be up further north. I don't think that's true. Florida does get cold. Billy can attest to this. We'll get sometimes in the 30s during winter. We definitely will have multiple days in the 40s.
Let me just interject real quick that Clay and Billy's part of Florida gets those days. My area, because I'm almost 4 hours south of them, we may see, in the city areas and suburban areas, it may get into the 50s, maybe the high 40s. You drive out in the glades, it'll get 35, 32, but that's only 4 days a year. So my apologies, continue. You guys have it way easier up there with them cold weather snakes.
But I think with diamonds, the key is, if you can get in the upper 40s several days, maybe for a week or so, maybe even a couple weeks, but definitely in the 50s, low 50s, and keep them in the low 50s for a while during nighttime, then they're fine. They'll be good. So I think maybe that's what people are thinking when they say that you can't keep diamonds in Florida, is they're thinking further south. But as you get up north, it gets colder. So the key is just to have those sustained nighttime, cold temps. So at night, my diamonds will definitely be in the low 50s guaranteed during cooling for a couple months. And sometimes, in the 40s, 45, no problem, 44. This year, I'm going to actually take my the diamonds that I have. So I have one right now that actually, I have one that is younger. This will be his second winter, and I'm just going to throw him in and see how it goes. I think he's thick enough, but I do plan on pulling him a little bit sooner though than the adults. But I'll let him feel some of those cold temps.
Is there things that you look for when debating on how cold it is? So how do I phrase this? Like you said, you want to keep it, high 40s for a little bit, low 50s for the majority of it. Is there signs that the snake's giving you saying, hey man, this is not working out and maybe I should, raise the temps a little, or you just kind of leave it alone? And
I would never. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
Okay.
I have not seen that. They're very sturdy. If that's what you're asking, I've not.
I get weary, man, because I've had so many snakes that I cooled stuff once and I cooled it too much and the snake never comes back right, or it just doesn't look good and I wind up getting cold feet, no pun intended, and I bring the snake back up and it winds up being fine. So I didn't know if there was any like visual cues that you've seen with dropping stuff that cold in our neck of the woods.
Mm-mm. No, they're good. Now, I haven't brought them as low as 40 or below 40 ever. I've heard that people have done that, but I think that 45 is my comfort level. 45, 44 is about where I'll stop. When I see 44, that's it. That's the margin for error for me, and I'll try to manage that. I don't want to go in below that. But
very cool.
I mean, the big thing is just to make sure they get a chance to warm up at some point. If you have that day-night cycle, it's okay if they get down, to the 50s or mid-40s or whatever for that night, just for those few hours, and then as long as they get a chance to warm back up during the day, at least that's how most pythons are. Don't have any experience with the diamonds, but I imagine they're the same. They could just handle cooler temps better.
So you have to have that basking spot during the day. You can take a few days, 2 days or so, or maybe 3 even, where you don't have any heat, change things up a little bit, but they're going to need, you want to give them that basking spot. I usually I target around 83 degrees on my basking spot. I know some people may go a little more than that, but I'm somewhere around 83. So then if I go up to 85, then, I'm not worried about it. But again, I know some people go during the summer, they'll go even higher than that and say they're fine. They probably would be, but I kind of lean always to the cooler side.
Well,
but in the wintertime, give them that.
How do they, what's the behavior with those lower basking temps? Like, are they always on the heat, or are they just on it a couple hours a day, or what are they telling you?
They usually will stay as long as the heat's on, but I don't give it to them much. So they're going to get like 3 hours of basking in the dead of winter, and that's it. So 3 hours, and then boom, that's it. So if it takes them a minute to figure out what's going on, then they may only get an hour.
Gotcha.
And are you using heat emitters for this? Or are you doing lamps or what?
I've changed my enclosures actually this year. So I did have them in taller enclosures, and I had a bulb in there, and I had heat emitters as kind of a backup just in case, but mostly depending on the bulbs. But I'm 100% bulb now, and including UVB on one side. So my cool side on the current enclosures is going to be on the floor. When they go up, they get their choice between warm, just standard incandescent, warm UVB, and they can pick. And a lot of times they'll pick the UVB area. So, and I've temped them, and they're about the same temp. So they'll be about 84, 83.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Billy Jenkins wants to know, what about summer?
Summer, I give them longer basking time. So 5 to 8 hours, somewhere in there. But the UV light, I only leave that on I always have that more at about like 65% of the time. And then I'll leave the incandescents on when those go out. And then they all go out. And then I have a room light that stays on a 12-hour cycle during summer. At this point, yeah. But I've gone horizontal with my enclosures. Before I had them for these interesting looking homemade vertical enclosures that were 6 feet tall. And it became evident pretty quickly to me that they preferred, they didn't really like climbing a lot. The young ones will do that, but as they get a little older, they really don't want to do that. So the the horizontal absolutely is where it's at. Someone told me that. I can't remember who it was. May have been Scavino actually, and just talking and passing. And I think he had told me, you know what, you may want to go horizontal. And I started thinking about it and watching their behaviors, and I was like, wow, he's right. So when I ordered my cages from AP, that's where I went. So I actually added on some of my enclosures will have they'll be the 30-inch deep, and but definitely they're all pretty long now.
That's good. It's very interesting. Have you noticed them doing like a full sprawl where like they literally use the entire surface area of the bottom?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
And are you giving them shelves too?
So they have shelves, and then they have under the shelves they have the little cubbies they can go into. The RBI ones, it takes like the large hide, inverts it, you know.
Yeah. It's got
so
the tracks
they use
on it.
those. They absolutely use those. I've added in the cork bark now, that the rounds, really long rounds now that I got in Daytona, and they use those too. Although they prefer those inverted hides more. So I have one large female that will use the rounds, but she's probably too big, really, to be comfortable in the large hide. So yeah, she'll go inside the cork bark, or during the daytime she'll lay all the way across it with her whole body.
Wow.
So,
very cool. Do you put substrate in the upside down hides? Okay.
No, I haven't thought about that. Yeah, maybe I should.
Yeah, because I know some of them. So like a lot of my local pet shops, they'll get the black plastic hides that they have the same footprint, but some of them are different materials. Some of them are more, I don't want to say vinyl-y, but they have different textures to them. And it's clear like some are made in India, some are made in Taiwan. And I've noticed that there's different depths. Well, I guess it would be height because it's supposed to be right side up, you know, and they have different heights to them, because I've tried to pack them full of, you know, swag and some cocoa husk or whatever. And you can't put too much, because when the snake goes in there, it almost displaces it out, because it doesn't have enough of a substrate dam when you've inverted the hide. So I didn't know if how deep your hides that you had on the tracks, you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah, they're the standard.
Okay.
But maybe I should get into 3D printing, or find someone who does custom 3D printing, because
Billy knows some people.
A deep hide with the same width. If I can get them deeper, that would be definitely ideal.
Yeah. Yeah, I've also thought about, you know, Billy's got some amazing 3D printed arboreal hides, and Billy, yours have the birdhouse hole, and it has like a trap door that you can put in, right?
There's no trap door. It's just a hole in the side, and then the top has a hinge on it. So
that's right.
I can get to it. Yeah.
So
it's on a track that I can take the hide out if they're in it to make things easier.
Like a trap box,
on everybody.
basically.
Basically, I just don't have a little door to close it off.
Yeah, just use your hand, you know. What I was going to say is, thinking of the black hides that are inverted, I wonder if you had a deeper substrate dam, excuse me, you would obviously want the entrance hole, to be towards the top of the inverted hide, at the bottom of the hide, right? But on Billy, on yours, is your entry hole still at the top of the hide, or is it lower down on it?
It's about midway. It's not just depending on, because I have the different sizes, and it's all about midway, just to make it easier.
Yeah.
But I also put spag in them, and I kind of try to emulate, you know, like a humid type of hide inside a tree hollow or something like that, because naturally it's going to be a little more humid in those situations. So I was trying to mimic with those hides.
I
had an idea that made me think. So with the Aggie cage, it has a shelf, and if there was a way, I had thought about taking some of that like coconut fiber basket liner and having it so that it is acts like a curtain over that shelf, so that there's like a separate wall. But I think it would be just as easy for Jen and Clint to find some way to make like a lock and key kind of thing, so it slides in, like you have a pane that slides in with a door either at the top or at the bottom for whatever you're keeping it in. And then you have a separate compartment that you can easily take out, and they can still use that space back there and have like a little secluded area.
Yeah, I actually just saw a guy on Instagram. I'll send you guys the link. I can't remember the guy's name, but he does a lot of tree monitor stuff, and he's really utilizing those orchid basket liners. And basically, he's made like a 3D printed caddy that you just put the bulb for the orchid basket in it, and it makes its own hide out of the orchid carpet or whatever you want to call it. Forgive me for not knowing what it's actually called, but I thought that was super interesting. I imagine guys like us that have these arboreal and semi-arboreal animals could totally utilize that, especially in the PVC world. I was actually looking at another guy that took, basically we're talking about like Billy's hide boxes, these arboreal hides, and Clay's using the inverted black plastic ones. What he did was, you guys know, on an old school wooden birdhouse, it's got the hole and it has like a little stick coming out the front for the bird to perch on. Basically took wooden screw-on dowels and screwed them in so that there was that little bird perch on there, so that way the snake could like get a chin up on it, and that way you didn't have to have some kind of terrain that escalates up to the hide. It literally, as long as the snake could periscope up enough, it could get a chin up on that little peg and then work its way into the hole, which I thought was really cool.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Or one of those manzanita perches I use for the rhinos.
Yeah. Dude, manzanita is awesome. So how many diamonds do you have right now that you're putting together?
How many am I putting together,
like
for the season, or in general? How many do I have?
No, this season.
Three. I have three pairings I'm looking at. One of them, the female that I'm most excited about, has some health issues right now. So it broke its jaw, and I told the vets. Now I went to three different vets. One of them was an emergency. Then I had my regular vet. And then I gave up on him and I tried someone else. And bottom line, I finally said, will you please x-ray the snake's mouth? The snake cannot have permanent mouth rot, we're on the 5th round of antibiotics, going on the 6th round, and my husbandry is fine. All the other snakes are fine. There's something wrong with my snake. And the way it was holding its head, I have pictures. It's pretty gruesome, but I said and then after it eats, its mouth would be open. I don't know how much experience you have with this, or if anyone listening does, but man, I didn't want to second guess the vets in front of them, but it's like, something has to give here. Yeah. So I finally, this was 2 weeks ago, I got her to x-ray this was last week, x-ray the snake's skull. And sure enough, she was like, okay, I see like a fracture on one side. You were right. And she actually she put a taped muzzle on the snake. So it's like an early Halloween costume.
Interesting.
Like a mummy. Anyway, so I'm struggling with that right now. So we'll see. Because, they do that. They close the snake's mouth to let the jaw set. And if she was getting infected before, then like this morning I went in there and I saw like bubbles coming out of her nose. So I took the tape off, and I'm calling my vet, called multiple vets. I'm like, I need some antibiotics right now. I'll tape the snake's mouth back up again, her head again later. But so anyway, so this is the one I was most excited about putting together this year. And I'm optimistic. This snake is a champ. This snake has been, I gave it a small rat last week, bam, hit it hard before the vet appointment. So it wants to eat. It's healthy. It's strong. It just has a damn broken jaw.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's still trying to do it though. So I'm pretty confident that, if I don't screw it up, by not staying on top of, the antibiotics while the jaw does set, just little things like that. If I stay on top of it, we should be able to put her with someone. So then I have two others. One is Todd Psychotic Exotics that I was lucky I call it Laguna. But she's one that I think is probably going to go. And then I have one, Mimosa. Mimosa is going to be the more controversial one because she has some Cypress Creek in her and Riverbank. And SDZ also, but snake is just stupid beautiful.
Nice.
But, yeah, someone's like, well, there's Cypress Creek, what's that? Well, I don't know. What is that? There could be like, I don't know. 10%.
Yeah, where do you sit on that fence with that whole?
I am more. The last time that when the guys at NPR asked me about that, I was just saying, well, I think they're fine. But now I'm probably on the fence more now than I was. I'm more reserved now. I wasn't there when all this happened. I'm new to the scene. For me to even have an opinion on it, what does that mean? I didn't know all the breeders back then and what they were doing. And so does it matter? Like, how much does it matter if there is, at this point, where a Cypress Creek put with an SDZ, and then their babies are put with a Gary Vale, at one point where it's like, all right, it's negligible. So I still kind of think that, like, I have no problem breeding this one that has some Cypress Creek in it, but I will tell people there's Cypress Creek. So what kind of diamond do you want? Do you want one that could have some sort of impurity in it? Then
it's 1/32 coastal.
It's yeah, exactly. I mean,
yeah. Great job, Smitty. Push him right in front of the Greyhound, why don't you?
I was just curious about his opinion about it. I don't keep up with diamonds enough to really even have an opinion there, but it does, from everything I have seen from the outside looking in, people take it way too seriously.
Yeah. Billy and I talked about before. I think they look stellar, man. I love that look. So
yeah, I just think people should just say, this is a Cypress Creek. Make sure they let people know if that's what, and you can sometimes tell. Sometimes some of them you can kind of tell a little bit of a difference. You can see it. And but if you put one of those Cypress Creek snakes with, like I said, maybe like an SDZ or something, you can get incredible looking babies out of them. So I don't know. Again, what if there is 10% or 8% that's coastal? Yeah. Okay, well, okay.
Yeah.
Just tell people. If they're fine with it, a lot of people are going to be fine with it. So.
Yep.
Yeah, me and Phil just had a conversation about this whole topic.
Yeah.
And,
what's that?
Me and Phil just had a conversation about this whole topic, the whole lineage and how much does it actually matter and all that. And it pretty much comes down to what you said. Just be honest about what it is and how much you know about it. And I mean, there's only so much you can do. And at the end of the day, we're only taking somebody's word for it,
Right.
Like, did they all come in separately and they're all separate lines? Did they all come in the same box and got dispersed and then they were lines? Did all those diamond jungles that were out there 10, 15, 20 years ago that are nowhere to be seen now folded in? You don't know. So if you like that phenotype and that's what you're looking for and you're happy with what the breeder says that they know what it is, then, have fun with your snake in your box.
Exactly.
That's really what it is. But you're doing this for the snakes, not for the pedigree,
Yeah. My first carpet ever was a Diamond Jungle F1, and that thing's still alive. It's like 18 years old. So
I think maybe it just burns people, if you have one person or a small group of people who are protecting the line, keeping it pure, or doing their best, they're disciplined. And then you have some other people that are completely appear to not be, or one person who appears to not be as disciplined, who's selling a bunch of snakes, calling it whatever. And then I think that really rubs the disciplined people the wrong way. And I don't know how much plays into that with this thing, with the Cypress Creek. And again, I don't know the background. I wasn't there on where it came from. I have read forums and tried to go back as far as I could to see what people were saying, especially what Easter says about him. And, and I respect people's opinion on that who were there, and who've talked to people, but
well, here it comes. Boom.
Thanks, Scott.
Scott from Australia says there is no genetic distinction. There are no reliable morphology. The captive USA line traits are an artificial construct of inbreeding. not a true representation of the taxa in the wild. Thank you, Scott.
You know,
we only have so many, Scott.
I was going to say, like, we don't have any.
We can't just go out in the backyard and grab one, you know?
Well, and that's the hard part is, you know, explaining how it's a replicatable commodity. Does that make sense? Like, it's a commodity. There's a finite number, but you still can make more of the finite number as long as you don't mess it up.
I don't know. I mean, you get so the people that are shopping for the pure diamonds of whichever line tickles their fancy, they're going to be very specific in who they're buying this from. Like, they're not going to go and just buy some from some random dude who's like, yeah, these totally have this, and it's like you can clearly tell there's something else in the mix. You know what I mean? Like, that's a specific buyer looking for a specific thing. That's almost like guys shopping for 100% original classic cars. Like, they're not going to go buy something that doesn't have an on-original part in it, or like they know what they want. They're going to go buy that. They're not just going to go to any random guy on Morph Market and buy some random diamond and say, yeah, this is totally a Cypress Creek because the guy told me it was. Like, there's two separate
yeah. I think it comes down to the people that want the all original righteous model, and then people that just want a really cool representation piece. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about a year ago, I stumbled into 2 yearling diamonds, a pair that were just crazy looking. And I know I text you two guys about it, and I wound up talking to Burke about it too. And they're stellar, and it was a great price. And I was like, this is it. This is my window to get into them. And it wound up being 2 males. So I wound up not doing the deal. But I had no qualms that they could have 100% been mutts at some point. I would never know. I just wanted cool looking diamonds.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like that in chondros too. I mean, you got the other guys that very specifically want certain things, and it's like they're not going to be in the market for mixed stuff or things that are, you know, out designer stuff that's outcrossed to Beox or whatever. Like, if they have a particular lineage that they are on the hunt for, like, they're not going to necessarily settle for something else. They're going to find it. So it's like, is it really, you know, with the whole thing about people saying people that are mixing these things together are ruining them, it's like kind of like the morph thing versus the locality thing with carpets. Like, there's always going to be a subset of people that are locality specific. Like, that's not going to go away. There's always going to be a handful of people that are into it. There's always going to be a handful of people that pursue it. And then you're going to have the morph people that are going to cross that stuff in there. And it's like, if you don't want that, then you don't go shop in that group, because you know what to expect. Like, you're going to go to the people that you know are dedicated to that line, like Peterson stuff. Like, if I'm going to want Peterson stuff, I'm going to Billy. And if Billy doesn't have them, Billy surely knows a handful of other people that have some that are focused on it too. So it's like, I'm not just going to go. Yeah, I'm not just going to randomly go to somebody, you know, online and be like, hey, I need Petersons. And then, like, I'm going to go to the people that I know have it.
Yeah, well put. Well put. Yeah, Scott makes a good point too. He just comments that, you know, the majority of the USA animals got smuggled out by one individual. They all came from, you know, a range in New South Wales, and it very well could have come from a historic, you know, overland gap or intergrade zone between McDowell and Spilota. Who knows?
Yeah, Scott's really dropping some hard truths on us right now.
I know, right? It's painful but enjoyable.
Yeah, but also
known. Yeah, I mean, he said, so the so-called pures are not 100% pure anyway, which I'm sure that could entirely be the case. But at the same time, it's like, how do we know that there isn't at least some purity still?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, very true.
And even still, and we're talking about the pure lines and the pure localities, finger quotes, that we in the American hobby have choreographed. So even though it may have not come from, you know, Bobsville, Queensland, if that's our pure animal, then that's our pure animal, you know? So
look, okay, Scott may live in Australia with all the carpets, but we here in the U.S. have never even set foot over there and know everything about them that there is to know. We have the guys that wrote the books. Can the Australians say that?
Oh, Jesus.
Scott's gonna punch me in the face the first time.
Shots fired. Oh,
there's your
just
book.
saying. We got two books on carpet specifically. Does Australia have that? Oh wait.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah, they probably have a lot we don't know about.
They don't have a Dr. Julander.
Well, Clay, are you keeping anything besides Morelia?
I have a Maclots Python.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right now, I think that is where I think that's it, actually. So
You gonna get back into chondros?
I think it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to happen in the next 5 years. I think once I'm comfortable with all the projects that I have going now, I'll probably end up keeping some. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on carpondros?
I mean, I have diamond jungle jags, so pretty snake's a pretty snake, and if that's what you want, then some of that stuff looks pretty badass. So
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
They are cool.
They are cool, man. They are super cool.
You don't fully appreciate them either until you see them firsthand.
Oh,
you
absolutely.
can look at pictures and stuff all day, but seeing Billy's a couple of years ago before Carpet Fest and stuff, I was like, all right, that's pretty freaking badass.
Super cool. Especially with the jag in there. Incredible.
They haven't changed at all. They're just as yellow as they were when they hatched. Yeah, that's awesome. It's insane.
Billy, that one that you have that has more green flecking to it, that does not have jag in it.
The darker one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the that's the carpondro.
This is
that one doesn't have the jag gene. Yeah, I got I think it's 4 jagpondros and then the 1 carpondro.
Nice. Very cool.
So I actually think I might throw the 1 male jagpondro to my big mystery female green tree this year and hope for some 75% green tree stuff. That's been the goal from day one anyway. So,
and forgive me if this is a super morph and I'm a moron, but has anyone been doing carpondro to carpondro or jagpondro to jagpondro or no?
Not from what I've seen. Everybody wants me to pull them out now. Not from what I've seen, but I'm not as in tune to the hybrid stuff as I was a couple years ago when I first produced these guys. Right. Pretty much my whole idea when I decided the group I was going to keep, I've always heard about, or at least I did, there's certain breeders that would go on record saying that they're sterile, it's a dead-end project, there's nothing else you can do with them, blah, blah. But then you start looking into it more, and there are 75% green tree animals, 88% green tree animals. So I kind of just wanted to figure out for myself. So I kept a group so I could breed them together, breed them back to green trees. Eventually, I want to try to get some carpet mutations in there. But I've put, sorry, Scott, I put a rule on myself that I don't want any animal that I produce to have more than 50% carpet blood in them, because I've noticed the 75% carpet hybrids just look like carpets, and to me that kind of
it's too carpety.
It takes away from it. And then that's where I can understand where people get upset about it's going to get passed off as this or passed off as that. And I get that, but I still like the project, so I'm going to not just not do that. And you can only represent your stuff as best you can. You can't control what other people do.
Yeah. And Gillen puts out a good point that jagpondro should be 25% dead white snakes.
Yeah, it's still the jaguar gene.
So,
yeah,
but
it's
people
still a jag gene,
had that
so that's
happen
not
though?
going to change.
Okay.
I don't think anybody's bred jagpondro to jagpondro. And honestly, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I was fortunate, and my carpondro is a female.
Nice.
So I was thinking of just taking the 3 jagpondros and throw them to male green trees. And I was just thinking, the more I had, the more chance I had to produce. Give me 3 chances instead of 1.
Yeah. What were we saying before I cut you off, man? I'm sorry.
I don't know. You knocked me off my track.
No, we were talking about
you
trying to
I know
get 50%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I say, like, I want to get different carpet mutations in there. For me to do that, I'm gonna have to start at ground 1 and do a carpet to a green tree, and just start with 50/50s and then go from there, and then just decide, if I'm doing the recessive route or doing complete dominant or what, because I don't think anyone's done, at least that I can think of off the top of my head, zebra or granite, anything like that. I've seen caramel. Those look cool.
Doesn't seem like people have really strayed much from the original just carpet to chondro thing. Like, no one's really gone deeper there.
I think it stems from there being kind of, one, there's the stigma behind them, which, either you like them or you don't. But, there's guys that only like wild type and hate morphs, so I don't see it any different from that argument. As long as you represent them correctly, who wants to appreciate them will appreciate them. If you don't, you don't. It's nothing wrong. It's just like all the other snakes. They're just more snakes in boxes. It's not as serious as some people make it out to be.
We're not curing cancer, people.
No, not yet.
What was the
hybrids yet?
What was the original carpets that you used for the hybrids? Were the coastals?
Yeah, it was a coastal jag, just to that big green tree female I have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, granite carpondros would be interesting.
Yeah, I tried to go for possible heads last year, and I got locks. Just didn't get any babies.
I mean, frankly, I think the 75% carpet ones look not great.
I mean, they look like good. They look like really nice carpets. They're kind of on par with the gamma stuff and the neon stuff like Clay has. But that doesn't. I mean, why are you gonna work a project that takes 2 generations when you could get gamma animals and have them right away? And you don't have to worry about the gamma stuff's still technically hybrids, but it's kind of in its own lane instead of the green tree carpet stuff.
Roughies to green trees, yes. I just want to see what they look like. Scott, if you have a picture of that, can you please send it to me? No one.
Yeah, I think it's already been done, and it didn't look great, so nobody pursued it again.
I'm just super curious. I don't expect it to look very good, but be cool to see nonetheless. Rock chondros to regular chondros.
Yeah, what was the hybrid name they called it? They have a cool name. I don't remember.
No, I don't think they look cool. They didn't have the raised scales, so they thought it was a failure. I think that's what I remember. So Clay, sorry, we got on a rant there.
Yeah.
So outside of those possible 3 diamond herrings, is there anything else you're planning on besides that diamond jungle? Are you doing any jungles or any other stuff that you plan on putting together?
So I have the Chiquita pairing, and I may put Chiquita with a wow male. I have the Vito snake that I had to put that with a female, but I'm not sure which female yet. Okay. So I'm still toying with that. Some of the snakes that I got, I picked them up as adults, and initially I just kind of, like a couple years ago and last year, I put snakes together that were that were already in other collections, and I didn't really mess with them. But now, if I'm going to put them with some of my higher end stuff, I need to make sure I have a good NITO testing process. So I've already done my first round of NITO testing, but I don't want to put that really nice gamma with a female. But I haven't noticed any problems though with these females, by the way. But never any symptoms of RI or anything. But I'm still just, I don't know. What's your opinion on that, you guys?
Yeah, proper quarantine. You should do that for everything. That's pretty much a standard anymore. When you bring in new stuff, that's how you should do it.
Yeah, we're talking about snakes that I've had for a couple of years now. So for me, quarantine is for a long time until I've tested them a couple times. It's how I lean that direction right now. But if you've had a snake for 2 years, 3 years that you got from another breeder, no signs of RIs whatsoever, you wouldn't have a problem just putting it with one of your expensive snakes.
Absolutely. 3 years. Yeah. They're good. That's how I'm looking at it. Yeah.
I also have, obviously I've not produced nearly as much as you guys, at least not on purpose. And one thing that I've thought about is, for those who have the option to do so, would it be beneficial in some regard to do that pairing that we just talked about outside of the main collection? So that way, let's say it's a new male that went through quarantine, showed no signs of nothing, with a vintage female, you pair them up in the guest bedroom, right? And you leave them, whether you separate them in the guest bedroom, you leave them in the guest bedroom, and all of a sudden that vintage female starts showing signs. Well, now you've still kept it away from the main collection.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
If that's possible. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've thought of things like that.
Do you guys believe that that Nido is airborne?
No.
I personally don't. So I
don't
do
think
keep
it's
my
airborne.
babies. Go ahead, Troy.
No, I was just saying I don't think it's airborne. I think our cross-contamination protocol is shit.
Yeah. There you go. That's what I think too.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it too, like doorknobs. I mean, how many times have you cleaned something, touched a doorknob? I leave my door closed. I mean, when I'm cleaning stuff, I keep it open, but like I've touched the doorknob a million times after, before washing my hands, and I don't clean off the doorknob, but that could be such an easy, like passing zone for that kind of stuff to go from one cage to the other. I don't have any issues currently, but just there's so many small things that as far as fomites that just a lot of people would probably not even think of, even down to your shoes. Like I have carpet in my room, small stuff, you're not going to be able to, unless you have a laboratory grade, like sanitation and quarantine and equipment and stuff like that. I think you're always going to there's always going to be some percentage, even if it's tiny, of cross-contamination of things. Yeah.
And like Scott makes a good point. He thinks it's present in water molecules that can be exhaled. We learned that with COVID, breathing out particulates that just stick to stuff. So it's all possible.
Enigma came from actually I picked up Enigma from a guy in Fort Myers, and he had the paperwork, and I verified that he acquired the snake from Martin Roseman.
Yeah, and by the way, Clay, BBQ and Fit is our good friend Sean, who's also a Morelia junkie. So
awesome. Yeah, Enigma is a snake I'm thinking of pairing this year. So I just need to figure out. Like, I would love to put Enigma with Chiquita, but Chiquita is a zebra, and I don't know. I haven't asked Martin about this or not, but that's originally what I wanted to do. But the more I think about it, he talks about competing genes when you put a diamond jungle jag, like a gamma or a neon, and a pairing. So I don't know if that would affect the outcome. So I have the WoW male for sure that I think would work out, but then I also have Enigma, and Enigma is just a badass. So I'd love to put Enigma with someone this year.
Very cool.
Just so people can have some context of some of these animals.
Yeah, I was literally about to say.
Clay's Instagram.
Yeah, I was just looking them up too. Yeah.
That's Chiquita. It's insane.
Billy, we're supposed to ask you to pronounce Chiquita.
Why is that? Oh, jeez.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah. Chiquita. Goodness.
That is hemp. So,
yeah, Clay's got some heat over there.
Dude, it's fucking radioactive.
My eyes hurt. It's like staring at the sun.
When you hold those snakes, they let off like a humming sound, like a
straight from Chernobyl.
Yeah, right.
What's you like this rescue stuff?
I do. Yeah. So I operate out of the assumption that things like Nido are not airborne, but I do at the same time keep all of my babies on the other side of the house. They have their own room and everything, just in case. But the rescue is where I work on reducing the fomite risk. So basically, everything, the feeding tongs. I have the disposable water dishes, but I'll reuse my disposable water dishes. I don't know if any of you guys do that, but I'll take them and I'll spray them out. I'll spray them with the rescue, let it sit for 10 minutes, usually longer than that. And then I'll rinse them off and then put them in a dishwasher that goes 160 degrees for the sanitizing rinse. But yeah.
Nice.
That's Kaya. Kaya with the broken head.
Oh, okay.
She's such a champ. I really feel for her. Like right now, like that's really where my head is a lot. I'm thinking about that snake right now. Hoping she's okay. But
that's awesome.
That I believe is one of Hollander's. He has a gamma he calls Yoshi. And I actually went to his house and picked up a couple, that pair, the Wild Blaze pair I have, and this one. So this one, this one's getting pretty big now.
And it's kept all that color.
Twins. Oh, it's gotten more color. Yeah, it's coming into its color. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
Billy, have you ever hatched twins? You did, didn't you?
I hatched 3 last year. Yeah, 3 sets last year. I probably 5 or 6 since I've been breeding. It's more common than you realize. I've done it in coastals. Well, now coastals, my jungle types, and
have you noticed it from the same pairings?
No, it's all been different ones. I think it just happens more in Morelia than we realize. And I've heard other breeders talk about that too, that they're usually good for the bigger guys. They're usually good for at least 1 set a season.
Awesome. Look, he's got the CCTV camera going. I love it.
Yeah, Clay doesn't mess around. He's got good stuff and records and all that.
Legit.
Hey, Clay, why don't you talk about your app that you use and like controlling all your temps and stuff? That was really interesting when you were going through that.
Hell yeah.
So I have more than one app, but I have so basically I have the Apple HomeKit that I use for a lot of things. It pretty much automates most things in the house, but I have something that called Flare. They're called Flare vents, but they're basically smart vents that I put in the rooms. So I have one of those in each of my snake rooms, where like my diamond temp right now is set at I believe that at 78. I'm about to start to cool them down now, and it doesn't mean that the room is at 78. It's not. It's usually cooler than that. But basically, what it does though is it says that if the room gets hotter than 78, for sure the AC vent kicks on. It's going to open up and let any cold air that's working in the house is going to end up in that room now. It just opens the vent. And then my jungle room is usually set around 81 consistently. So you can set the temperature on these things, and then as soon as if it starts to overheat, then it opens up. The vent opens. If my internet goes out, though, the vents default to open. So when I was at Tinley, I was talking about how I had been freaking out because right before, essentially the night before we were getting on the plane, my my mesh internet Wi-Fi routers started acting up, and one of them I had to do like a restore on, and I was trying to think of the implications. How can I go on this trip for 2 days and have everything going haywire with my system? So, I was able to get it fixed. before we got on the plane, so that was good.
Now, you obviously have some kind of thermostats for the different enclosures and whatnot, but in terms of your home, your home AC thermostat, how does that play a factor? Like, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. So my snake room has one AC vent coming in from the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
The thermostat for the central AC is in the hallway outside that door, and that door is perpetually closed because it's venomous and stuff. But I'm trying to think of if the hallway where the thermostat is hits say 72, and then it gets too hot in the room and the vents open, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still not hot enough in the hallway in the upstairs to turn the AC on.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of negates it, does it not?
Yeah, it's one tool, so it's not a whole room thermostat. Basically, it's just one tool to help leverage your HVAC when it's there, when it's on. So if it does kick on, it'll cool the room down, which is better than not having it there. So have you ever done the thing where you turn you shut your vents off or open them in the room at different times of the year?
Yeah, sure.
So this is just that. It just does it for you, so you don't have to go in there and mess with it and accidentally forget it open or closed. So I've done that quite a bit, and so this is just automates that process.
Yeah, I think I'm overthinking it in the sense of my hallway will be 72 and the thermostat's set to 72, but the snake room is at 83 ambient, right? Or 82 ambient.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not pumping anything because the hallway is still 72. Does that make sense? So those vents in my scenario would probably not work.
So they have their own thermostat. Each vent has its own thermostat.
Okay.
They call it a puck.
A puck.
And they're really cheesy. They look like something out of a Cracker Jack box, but they work. They do the job though.
Okay.
And, they'll show you the temperature in the room when you walk in. You can look at it and see what the temperature is in the room. You can turn it left or right if you want to set the set point up or down, or you can do it on your phone. I usually just do it on my phone if I'm going to change anything.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look into it. That's pretty cool.
Not perfect, but it just makes it so you don't have to get up on a ladder and fool with the vent.
Yeah. Very cool.
So Lisa asked, what is the youngest, smallest male carpet you've had successfully breed? Have you ever gotten a 2-year-old male to get the job done?
Yes.
I think so, yeah. They'll surprise you.
I had a jungle male that I was feeding him, I think pups or rat pups underneath weans. He was like in the pup wean area of food, maybe 4 foot long. And he sired 2 clutches for me. So they don't have to be huge, but I want to say he was like 2-3 years old. I just tried it to see. I didn't put a lot of, merit into it, but yeah, he got the job done.
Nice. And that was to those larger females that you have right behind you?
The striped jungle stuff that I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
we gotta talk about this.
Yeah, what are we looking at here?
That's freaking cool.
This is out in my lanai right now, empty. Okay. In the summer, my lanai basically hangs out at like 90, and this is the shade, 90 something degrees. And so this is a good idea in the fall. I could probably start using this now. I could use this just to let the snakes get some sun for sure. But I hadn't originally intended on having a diamond in there full time. And when I saw how hot it was getting, I just wasn't comfortable with that. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but I lean to the side of a cooler is better. And I I don't have a place where I'm comfortable that the snake can get away from the heat. This does not give me that ability. In some regions, this would probably be great. This would work fine. All you have to do, and I do have a radiant heat panel in there that can kick on. So, you could just have that in there. And when the snake wants to get warmer, they can go inside. That's fine. But 90, 95, 98 degrees, just, there's no way that the snake can get away from the heat.
What are the dimensions of it?
So you can get these on Amazon. They're like a chicken coop or something, but yeah, it takes 2 people to lift it. So you get one person on one side, one on the other, and lift up. But it's 2 foot tall. So then it's probably 4 foot there. And then you have the inside area and the inside has a little divider too. And I waterproofed it, put silicone all in it inside to make it easier to clean in the inner area.
Did you take temp readings of the difference between outside and inside the little hatch there to see what the difference is?
I couldn't imagine that in my lanai. I couldn't imagine it would be much different.
Like that solid part on the right, that's completely enclosed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the lid comes up too. So again, you can find this on Amazon. There's no floor on the one on Amazon because you have to go to Lowe's or Home Depot and get some white PVC. I just put it on a table saw and cut it out and screwed it on the bottom.
Nice.
So
yeah, because I imagine if it's for chickens, they probably just put it straight on the ground, Very cool. Now, I saw your patio screened in. Have you ever had any predators make attempts in there? No? Okay.
No, we do. We have coyotes and everything out here. I heard them earlier. Actually, I was outside working on ATV and I could hear coyotes. Yeah, they're here. But they'll get behind the house sometimes.
Very impressive. Very cool. Yeah, Scott's saying he would just put a shade cloth over half of it. So that might actually work. But again, it gets hot in those patios. Real hot.
Are you guys gonna cool your snakes any later this season compared to last season? I am. I'm gonna hold. A minute.
I'm dependent on what it does outside.
Oh.
That's what I go with. I don't have because I just crack the window in my room. I don't go too crazy into it. Just if it starts getting cool outside or we got a storm system coming through, I crack the window and throw stuff together, and that has worked in the past. But I've usually done late October, early November. But I am pushing it back a little bit this year. I think I want to do one more good feeding before I start to empty everything out and put them together.
Mine is dependent on whether winter actually shows up and sticks around.
Mm-hmm.
I usually do sort of the traditional like Thanksgiving to Valentine's Day thing. So we'll see. Supposedly we're supposed to have a pretty legit winter this year. I'm hoping we do. So, because that was the struggle last year, was we'd have days in like late December that were in the 70s, and then we'd have a week of 50s and below, and then it'd jump back up to mid 70s, and it was just yo-yoing back and forth, and made things a little frustrating. But everything for the most part went. So,
well, I'll be pairing my first pythons ever this year.
Yeah,
and I'm very nervous, but I'm not that nervous because they're pretty bulletproof. But I realized that I was going to do the whole Thanksgiving and then like the Christmas thing. And I'm like, man, it's not going to be cold enough. Like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just kill their heat I'm going to slowly kill their heat. Right. And then in my mind, I'm thinking maybe like the last week in December, completely kill the heat, because February seems to, the past couple of years, February has definitely been our coldest month, and then just leave them at, I don't want to say room temperature, but leave them at what that room will be, which will probably be in the low 60s at mid 60s, and just leave them at that for all of February, and then slowly bring it back. And then that way in like end of March, they're already eaten and they're good to go, and try it from there and see what happens. So plus it's going to give me a little bit more time to get more food in them, get them a little bigger, get them a little fatter, because they're only, I mean, Billy, how old are those snakes? Were they 2 now? 3?
They're at least 3.
At least 4,
the Fuscus?
The Fuscus, yeah. Yeah. And everyone that I show them to, they're like, oh, dude, they're old enough. They're big enough. They're old enough. I'm like, okay, so let's do it.
Yeah, you can definitely throw them together.
Yeah. So I just didn't want to, quote unquote, cool them down like everyone else in the country is doing their carpets, and it not be cold enough, and all they're doing is not eating and being annoyed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So at least that's my.
You don't have to get them that cold.
Like
I only drop my stuff like to 70. If it gets into the high 60s, cool. You know, between that, food cycling and everything, they get the cues.
Yeah, I mean, it gets in that room. It probably gets like 69, 70 almost every night, just because we keep the house cold. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe that'll be enough. See what happens. Hopefully, they won't kill each other.
I don't know if I'm going to be doing nearly as many pairings next year. It's still sort of up in the air. No, me and Chris are planning to do like a Corn Stars episode where we do like a live show where we call it the 2023 Corn Stars draft.
Nice.
Where we go over like what we're planning to do, like have pictures of the animals and stuff, and like sort of drag and drop stuff as far as what we plan to do and stuff like that. I don't know when that's happening, but blood reds are definitely I'm gonna try and get those to happen again. So,
all right. Well, I'm only pairing 3 species this year, so I'm not like concerned with writing everything out. And I see how, you know, Billy and Casey and you guys write it all out, and it's in depth, man. Like,
I mean, you have to when you have so many options.
I know.
You know, it's tough not to. You have so many different directions you can go, especially with the corns and stuff. Like Loma ounces are definitely going to happen again. I think that wild caught male Baird's from Chris, I'm going to give him a shot again because he was clueless this year. And yeah, I don't know. How many pairings did you do this year, Clay? Well, last season.
Yeah, I went really, I slowed things down a lot on purpose and focused more on improving my enclosures. So I had 2 jungle pairings. One worked out, one didn't. And the one that did work out really was a surprise for me, honestly. For a minute, I thought I was going to get completely skunked. And I ended up getting some jungles that I'm excited about. I was able to breed. I have a Nick Mutton female. We call her Tampa because she's the big prototypical jungle, wild-looking jungle. And so those babies, they're looking great. I think I've sold 1 or 2 at this point, and I need to go on Morph Market and take the one that's on there down right now because I already sold that one. That was the last snake I sold, actually, and I need to update pictures and get some of those up. But those are going to be some real pretty snakes. Tampa's got a fat head, so but yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mainly spent almost all of my time on enclosures, and this season, hopefully I'll get my ass kicked. So that's the goal. So I have a lot planned for this season. Last season I planned almost nothing and was just kind of just seeing what would happen. I have my diamond enclosures now. They're converted over to bioactive. And the jungles I have not done anything with. I have all the tools for it. Extra vents. I'm gonna have to add extra vents and everything because I don't want the humidity getting too crazy in there. And but that's gonna be work. I have a huge box of leaves. You can get a big box of what are the leaves you put in there? They're
oak, magnolia.
Maple, or, yeah. Yeah, so oak leaves. But I have this massive box I got from Texas for like $100, and it's just sitting in the garage, ready to go. And all the coconut fiber cubes and everything, the bricks, I have it's all ready. And I have isopods breeding in my laundry room, boxes of them that I feed once a week. So
that's great, man. That's
I'm
great.
I'm ready to convert them, but then now I don't think I'm going to do that kind of conversion right before cooling though. So I may hold on it before I do it. But that would be a good idea, because then once I have eggs, that's when I can convert these over. So that should time out right.
Nice.
You have
That's
any
awesome.
plans to try maternal incubation?
I don't right now. So I don't right now. I don't ever have plans for that. But like when I think about I don't know. It would be one of those fun things when I'm bored.
That's cool though, man. That's cool.
Should try it at least once.
Billy's a bad influence.
I will stress out. I'll just sit there. Yeah, I will somehow figure out a way to screw it up. So right now,
it makes you realize that these eggs and stuff aren't as fragile, and everything has to be down to the 10th degree as you think. Once you actually go through the process and you see what the mom actually does and the swings that the eggs actually go through, it's really eye-opening. It's a really cool experience.
And Sean asked, what other python/boas would you get into besides green trees?
So I had thought about white lips, but I am thinking more about blackheads right now. But I need to know, Billy and I talked about it at Tinley, but I would need to know exactly what is involved in optimal care for those snakes, and if it meant can I put them in one of my current snake rooms, or would I need to have a separate room? Mm-hmm. And then how large the enclosures need to be?
Hashtag Team Hood.
Yes. I'll check with Jason, but yeah, but that's kind of what I'm thinking about though, is blackheads, and that's if I was breeding, because I would probably want to get maybe like a trio eventually. As far as a fun snake that I've thought about, that for just pure fun, maybe the mangrove cat snakes. You know what I'm talking about?
Melanota.
Those, because I think I could do like a one single stand-up enclosure, kind of like I have when you walk in my house with like the waterfall thing. I could probably put something together and as a piece of furniture or something and have it in there. And it's just I've done a little bit of research, but I would just need to know how to take, what do they eat basically? What's going to be involved in this? Because I think I've heard that they might even, eat lizards and stuff or something.
Oh yeah.
Birds and rodents from my experience.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, once you get them
on anything, they can fit around.
Yeah. Once you get them onto birds and rodents, it's smooth sailing. It's getting them to that point, because most of them are wild caught imports. And a lot of times, even if I've had like a 5-foot snake or 4-foot snake that was an import and looks like a bag of ass, every boyga loves a little basket full of live fuzzies. You know what I mean? So if it's something that they don't have to fight for, and they could just scarf it down real quick, that's a great way to get them onto rodents in that regard. And then like over the years, I mean, just tongue feeding chicks and mice and whatever else.
Quail eggs.
Yeah.
Cyania loves quail eggs.
Yeah, Cyanodon loves giant eggs. Whole chicken, large, white. So
I mean, I do have to applaud Clay on his ability to stay hyper focused on what he's like working with.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how you go to Daytona and Tinley and not see so much stuff and be like, yeah, it's okay. It's not jungles. It's not carpets.
Yeah, I really like carpets.
It's hard not to, man. That's cool, man. That's cool that you got an idea of some future non-Morelia stuff. I like it. I'm really eager to see these bioactive enclosures, man. You know, because not many people do a large snake like a python bioactive. You know, you think about the amount of isopods and springtails you're going to need to really keep it going. Obviously, you're not going to leave giant turds in there, but yeah, I'm eager to see how it comes out, man. I'm rooting for you.
I had just set them up. I think when around the time of Daytona, and I wasn't sure how they're going to work out. So I've been watching, and at this point, those enclosures are doing really good. The snake room almost never smells like snake shit, and yeah, if there's big turds, whatever, I'll grab those. But other than that, the maintenance on those enclosures, the maintenance mostly is, instead of now scrubbing and cleaning, it's spraying for a humid spot for the isopods, and I'll throw in a little extra food for them. So I'm really trying to get them still established, the communities. And but yeah, I'm seeing that almost all of the enclosures have the isopods building up. So my life has gotten easier. My diamond room is easier to take care of now. Nice. I didn't do, I did, maybe like, it's probably about 3-inch substrate. So I don't have a drainage layer. I'm not dumping water in there because I don't want a lot of humidity. But it's isopods. I did put the springtails in there. I have cork flats that I spray under, and then I'll lift up the cork rounds and just spray a little under there too. And then the leaf litter.
Nice.
So far, so good. It's an experiment, and it's doing well so far. They're easier to take care of. Bottom line.
Yeah.
My jungle's huge in the ass because I have white cages, so I have to go in there and spray and debate on whether or not it's really stained. Do I need to move the snake and bleach it or not? Because
I have old school white visions, and they yellow with age. They just yellow. They get gross. And Mr. Clean Magic Eraser with just some Chlorohex,
those things are amazing.
Literally take off stain. So
I don't know how they do it.
It literally is Magic Eraser. So what I do is I don't use the whole one because they get kind of pricey. You're going through a lot of them, but I'll take one eraser and I'll rip it in thirds, and I'll just kind of roll it up in my hand because once it gets wet, it kind of scrunches up, and I'll just elbow grease hit a spot, or a streak or whatever, and it keeps that white cage or those white cages fairly white to the best of its ability. So definitely check that out. Yeah, and I think that your isopods with pythons, your bioactivity with pythons is very morale boosting for me, because I kind of gave up on it on a lot of snakes just because it just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And then, Henry does it with all the king cobras and stuff. And dude, he never gets white fuzz mold. He never has funky smells. And I'm playing with some more fossorial stuff with leaf litter, and I'm going to have to do it. I got to do it. Have you thought about, God forbid, I'm not going to say the M word, but the little black dots that tend to move? Have you thought about how you're going to work with that in bioactivity?
Make sure they don't have them before
really good. I've done really good at avoiding that.
Don't say it. Don't jinx it.
So I've done pretty good with it. So I think that avoiding that is key. So
yeah, I get it. And I just recently got predatory ones, and they seem to have worked. I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm actually going to order more this week just to continue dousing things. But I am curious, is because the ones that I'm buying, they're actually off Amazon. It's this company in California that has like a mix, and it actually has like 3 or 4 different species in there. And I wonder if they're going to go after things like springtails or not. I don't quite know. But I'll definitely test it on a couple smaller enclosures to see, God forbid. And I'm interested, man. Definitely want to keep me posted on that. It's super fascinating.
Yeah, Billy asked a good question too. How do you combat the straight up destruction on plants?
My enclosures have 1 or 2 plants max, and they're potted. So bioactive in quotations. It's not full on. Again, no drainage layer. No, the plants are in pots, and I water the plants in those. Sometimes the snakes are rough on the plants, and I'm using like pothos.
Something that's unkillable.
Basically, yeah. And if it does die, well, I have more. But the biggest thing, actually, the story there was how much work I had to put into the plants. So you know how we quarantine our snakes and that sort of thing. Oh, look at that. You know how we all the work that we put into quarantining snakes. Well, the plants basically ended up taking them out, and I probably did overkill with it, but I literally took them out of the soil they were in from Home Depot, washed them, put them in fresh soil. The fresh soil had some sort of like a pesticide thing mixed in, and then I sprayed the roots and sprayed the leaves and everything with whatever there's a certain chemical you put on it to kill like the majority of your average pests. And I think there's something called mealy bugs or something. You could see those. You can't see them when you buy the plant from Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, but then a couple months later at home you see them. But then and then 2 weeks later sprayed them out the outside of them again in the soil again, and I haven't had any problems at all. So those are things that I'm concerned with. But just because if you get some sort of like not for the snakes, but if you get something growing, some sort of a pest on one of the plants, it's going to be in all of your plants eventually in the room. And so I put a lot of front end effort there.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Rinse them off, get all the soil that they came in on gone, and then put them in something, topsoil mixed with some other stuff to give it some nutrients.
I just want to comment that Randy, our beloved chondro keeper of the West, just says that, more naturalistic. That's how he keeps it. And I want to say that's not fair because yours don't go anywhere. Yours just stay on the branch.
That's actually not true. So funny story. The other night I felt like playing with the beards. So I took a beards out. One of the male chondros was kind of cruising around. So I opened the tub, let him kind of come out if he wanted to. He didn't. Put the beards back, put the thing back on the shelf, went to bed, completely forgot to close that tub.
Oh.
So I came in the next morning and the tub was open. I'm like, oh, shit. And
classic Smitty.
Fortunately, chondros are very easy to find when they're out because they are like never on the ground. And so, of course, right behind my door, I had my camera tripod and that was like all extended and he was just chilling on that. So.
Smitty's free reign chondros.
Yeah. It's like, damn it. Like, what the hell? Yeah, I don't put plants in pots with my chondros now. I just have pothos growing in the water bowls. And then if they end up pulling it out, I just pop it back in. Herp and Smitty's house. Damn it. I wasn't even going to tell anybody, but I just thought it was funny because chondros don't go anywhere. They surely do. He had a nice little night out. Didn't knock anything off the shelves or anything, so I'm happy there. Homeboy was just curled up chilling on the tripod like it was a branch. So. Sean asked about your experience with Timors or Lesser Sundas.
Thank you.
Lesser Sundas.
Smitty digs his own hole. I do.
So the Timors, they were kind of, I guess how long did I have them, Billy? 6 months, maybe.
About, yeah.
Yeah. So I sold them. I think that after a while, I just realized that I don't know. I didn't really like keeping them. To simplify it, I hardly ever saw them. And then when I did, whenever I picked them up, they defecated all over me and all over everything. And you know, I really am a biosecurity freak, and they're a nightmare for that. So, yeah, because there's just feces or, you know, urates everywhere. So, yeah, I don't know. I thought they were going to be more rewarding to keep than they were. And I compare them, and the investment in them also, I compare that investment. I could put that money in other things and did. So put it back into my jungles and diamonds.
Yeah, man.
They were Clay's thorn scrubs.
What's that?
So they were Clay's thorn scrubs.
I tried it, and yeah.
Clay, you want some thorn scrubs?
I don't
Thorn
know.
scrub
Probably
wrap?
not.
I got 2 left.
Well, for the few weeks that I had Lesser Sundays, they were a pleasure to work with.
It's because you only had them for a few weeks.
They never.
It was a short visit. It wasn't an extended stay.
What was it? Probably about almost 3 months, Billy. Right?
It was
maybe
it was
2
a couple
months.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were stressed the whole time.
Dude, I kept those things next to my bed. I kept them next to my bed. I checked them. I temp gunned them more than anything else in the collection. And they ate. They didn't poop on me, but they pooped in the tubs. Life was grand. They sat there and posed for photos. They were adorable.
That must be a nice change of pace.
Yeah, right?
They're definitely not for everybody. But like I have the 3 now, and my male is awesome. He's like the best python you can have. My bigger female, she's not bad. She's just a little flighty, and she'll, you know, sling urates everywhere. And then my little female is terrible. She's like, honestly, I got to open the tub up with a hook now, because she's got, like, every time I crack the tub open, she'll nail me. So she's always ready to go. And then if you touch her, she just, you know, releases everything. But it's one of those things, like, you know, especially hearing us talk about them. Then if you dig into them deep enough and find, you know, the little bit of info that's out there, which isn't easy to find, you kind of have an idea of what you're getting into. And it's just like a lot of the lesser kept species. It's not always because they're super rare. It's because enough people have kept them and they're just not for them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I'll put up with that for them, but I wouldn't keep scrubs, because there's, you know, just my experiences with scrubs and, you know, the stuff I know about them. But there's people that would say, you know, sundas are terrible, but would love a whole room of scrubs. You know, everybody has their own threshold for species that they like more than others. So it's one of those things you really don't know until you have them in hand and see if you want to put up with it, pretty much.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to break my stones about how they were only like 6 months old, and that's why.
Honestly, I think there's something to that too. I think they're a lot easier going as hatchlings, and as they get older, and
their hatred grows with them.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why too. Like, me and Clay have 2 different ideologies on how we were going to keep them. I went into it knowing I was going to rack them and, you know, basically keep them warm, keep them secure, feed them a whole bunch. And Clay's more into the display. I want to interact with them, see them out, all that. And, you know, it just didn't work out for Clay and what, you know, he wants out of a species. And, you know, they work good in my setup and how I do things. So
I agree.
You know, that's how it works.
For me to do it right, it would have required a lot more investment. With the way that I would want to do it, I could kind of envision what I was going to need, and there was going to be a lot of time and just a lot of resources put into doing that in a way that I would find it meaningful. And it just, I think my larger female, she started to come after me also. So yeah, I was just like, all right, all right, I'm done. I am done. So,
Billy just loves stuff that's angry.
Yeah.
I have a lot of snappy species, but I very rarely get bit because once you're around them enough and you start learning the different species and all that, you can read them pretty good. And I don't work the colubrid stuff usually at the same time as the boas and pythons. Kind of gets me in a different mindset. And I know I got to be a little quicker with the colubrid stuff.
Yeah, Sean wants to know why the lesser cinders are so expensive.
It's just supply and demand. I mean, before we said anything about them today, if I would have showed everybody a picture of one of them, the whole chat would have went crazy. Like, oh my gosh, one day, all that stuff. And then then we're honest about them, and it's like, well, wait, why are they so pricey? Why are scrubs so pricey? I don't mean to hate on scrubs, but they're terrible animals.
They're a handful.
Let me tell you.
You'd see, besides that tannin bar that Smitty had, that was the exception somehow.
That was the exception.
It wasn't, though. It was small in size.
Like the trinket, too, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I forgot about the trinket.
That's like the easiest going Colignathus I have, is that trinket.
It wasn't when I had it, I swear.
Oh, man.
Well, I think it's funny is that Dr. Wyman's daughter, who I'm pretty sure is like 16 or 17, just reaches in, takes him out, plays with them. Meanwhile, Smitty's getting bit and pooped on.
I never let him get me. I never let him get a hold on me.
Smitty had on like
came very close,
like a welding shield.
Yeah. He's got on like the bite suit from the canine unit.
You forget how far their reach is until they come like whizzing by your face.
I literally would let it wrap around my bicep and up on my shoulder while I clean the cage. And
you had it in the fridge or something. You're a liar.
There must be something about your setup that just pisses these snakes off, Smitty.
Maybe. It's probably because it couldn't roam free. That's probably a good thing I don't keep venomous.
Probably.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues then. That was before I got someone put some voodoo curse on me or something.
No, I think it's also mental, man. It's that, there's, I don't want to say a false sense of security, but that God forbid it gets out. Like, it's not that big a deal. While it's something venomous, it does not get out, period. So
the door sweep helps.
The door sweep helps a ton.
The shims help. The closing of the cage helps.
I don't have to use the shims anymore because I got rid of the damn rack that I was needing the shims for in the first place.
Dude, I use the shims on racks that don't need shims. It's just an extra procedure. And I know that if I have the shim halfway out, I got to go back in there to clean a water bowl or to take a prey item out that didn't get eaten. Or if I put it sideways, I know that I got to like change substrate. Like I have my own little mental code about it.
I just use binder clips for that.
Yeah, it's okay. So you use binder clips for the same thing. But when I use the shims, it's a guaranteed note that it's secured. And I can literally go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I can go down and I can look. And if there's a shim in every one, we're gravy.
Clay, do you use a labeling system, or like I use the binder clips and the little tags and stuff? Do you use anything like that with your stuff, or no?
Not really. I mean, I have for the babies, I've used P-Touch. That's about it right now.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Clay, do you use any kind of like QR code app or anything for keeping records?
I tried. I really did. The popular one, Reptiscan, I think it is, something like that. And it was not intuitive enough. It felt like more work fighting with the app. So I actually have on my phone, I have like Google Drive where I have an Excel spreadsheet and I just update my spreadsheet, and that's a lot easier.
I've tried a handful of different apps. I always end up just scribbling down on index cards or something.
Yeah, those cards that we made a few years back, I still use those cards, man. Those cards are awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like there's something, it just seems like to open the app, scroll through, find the animal, find the section for the information I want to put in. It's like I could have just done it in 5 seconds on a note card. You know, I keep pens all over the room for a reason.
Yeah.
So,
Clay, how
I've
big's
tried
your
them.
collection?
What's that?
How big's your collection?
I think I have, not including the babies, probably about 25 snakes. It's between 20, probably 22 and 25. So I have 8 adult, like breeding size jungles, 3. Those are in the AP enclosures. I have 3 in some 2x2s in my closet. Those are like some of the higher end ones. And then I have, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh, okay. Then I have the babies now that I just picked up. So the MIA, the German. Yeah. So, well, it's between 20 and 25.
I love how he goes through the room in his mind like we all do. It's great.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
I'm at a point now where I feel like I need to add 4 more enclosures to my jungles. My diamonds, I don't plan on. I have 9. I have 9 spots, and they're not all being used. So I have like bioactive, my version of bioactive, empty enclosures right now with isopods establishing and everything, with no snake in them ready.
It's great, bro. It's freaking great.
I'm at the diamonds. I'm probably going to try to keep it a max at like 9, and then if I have a holdback that I'm keeping, then I'll eventually trade out, a snake. And that's the jungles I'm trying to do that with. But I have so many projects with the jungles now. If I'm going to go with like the MIAs, then now I may need another 3 or 4 enclosures. So I'm trying to figure out where I'll have room in there. I can make room in there, and then of course if I stick with the same look, then I'm going to be waiting a year for my AP ones, the AP enclosures to come. So
that's why you just hit up these folks right here, right there. Shameless plug.
Does BlackBox do the sliding glass?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
I'll have to look at them.
With an adequate substrate dam that is completely independent of its own track. So there's no vision lip, and you've got ample room to pack the dirt in. And there's little like side panels so that when you go to close the door, unless you physically put dirt on there, there's no way for the dirt to spill out the sides of it, which is a huge annoyance of mine. So,
and if you use the code THN at checkout, you get a discount on your order.
And if you're like me and require certain enclosures to be locked, they have a fantastic locking mechanism for their sliders that is not attached to the glass like a display cage or display lock from a jeweler or something. It's not a jewelry display lock. It's a cylinder lock that goes into the enclosure, and the key pulls the core of the lock out, and it's retained on the key. So you can't lock it without putting that exact key back in, which I think is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Especially for someone like me that's only unlocking one cage at a time. It really does add to the repetition and making sure that all your ducks in a row so there's no escapes or accidents or anything. Love it.
Shameless.
BlackBoxCages.com.
Their stuff is top notch. Sean had another question about diamonds. He asked if you feed them strictly rodents. Do you change up any of your diet for anything you got? You throw in anything else other than rodents?
I have quail that sometimes I'll throw in there. And then I'm not hesitant to give them like, chickens or whatever, but I'm a little more hesitant now with some of my jungles, the younger ones. I'm not really diversifying things. I've been burned a little bit with that. But with the adults on the diamonds, they're pretty much garbage disposals, but mostly frozen rats. almost exclusively. Again, I did quail for a while, and I don't know. I was doing it more consistently, like every fourth meal, and now I'm not doing that anymore. So it was just kind of weird. Like they didn't always take the quail. So
yeah, I've got some that'll only take rodents too. It's just an individual thing. So what do you mean you've been burned before by some of the smaller jungles with diversifying food?
Oh, so you give them, if I have like a quail or chicks or whatever, then like I have one right now that I have food on the counter up there. There's a rat pup and there's a day-old quail right next to it, thawing together on the counter right now, because that's the one where I'm gonna have to wash that and put it in with the quail in a baggie and warm them up together, and that's how it's gonna eat. Otherwise, it does not eat. It wants something that's scented with quail. Period.
Are you drop feeding, or are you tongue feeding, or what?
Yeah, I'm tongue feeding.
Have you tried taking some of the like chick down or feathers and putting in the dead rat's mouth?
Mm-mm.
Give him a mohawk.
Yeah. So like what I've done is, when I get to your point, like where you're like putting them together to get the scent right, I'll take some feathers and stuff feathers in the dead rat's mouth, hold the rat with the tongs by the nape, so it like kind of like how a mother picks up a puppy, and then just put it right in front of the snake's face. So the first thing that it's getting is the smell of those feathers with the smell of the rat, and then whammo.
That would be easier. Billy, have you ever done that?
I haven't done that, no. I've got so many that it's not if I have to scent stuff, I have something that'll take down the quail or chick or whatever. It's not a big deal. I've got so much stuff here that if I got a scent, I can scent, and it's good to go. I can try that. I mean, I got some stuff I need to get going, so.
Yeah, that's what I do that's what I do for lizard eaters as well, is I'll take lizard shed from either geckos or from some of the cordillas that I keep, and I'll take the lizard shed and I'll roll it up kind of like a little cigarette, and I'll stuff that in the rat's mouth as well. And that way it's got some lizard scent to the front of the rat's face, and usually it works.
And it looks like it's smoking.
And it looks like it's having a cigarette. Actually, that's how I got the telescopus to eat. I didn't even try to feed them anything else. It immediately went to lizard shed in a frozen thawed Pinky's mouth, and I got it to bite. And then when it realized that it wasn't a lizard, it let go. So then I waited a week, and the next week I rolled the Pinky in a lizard shed, like little burrito, and it wound up eating the Pinky and leaving the skin. And then from that point on, it just ate Pinkies.
Awesome.
Well, we are at the witching hour.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we wanted to cover?
They were pretty good, man. Clay, anything? Billy, anything?
No, I think we hit some good stuff and got some really good insight.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Cool. Clay, where can people follow you?
TampaSnakes.com is our website. Thankfully, if you just search for Tampa Snakes, it'll probably pull up our Facebook, our website, everything. So it makes it easy. Clay@TampaSnakes.com is the email. Facebook Messenger works too. Instagram.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good
Billy?
stuff.
Uwabami Reptiles, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's uwabamireptiles.com. Yeah, the usual. I think everybody already knows where to find me at this point.
They should know by now.
They should know by now, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff, boys. Good stuff.
Yeah. We want to talk about the Nephros baby real quick.
We do. I have pictures that need to be shown.
It's like, I will show you one album.
No, I didn't go crazy. I had to stop myself because I'm like, doing this photo shoot with this baby that's literally hours old. And I'm like, what am I doing? This thing is freaking the hell out. I got to set it up, you know? So for those of you who have not listened to a couple previous episodes of our lovely show, I had one Nephrosynchus egg this year. And at the 55, 56 day mark, I was like, man, let me candle it. Because I've been burned in the past with, you know, dud eggs that were so encrusted, gilded with sand that you physically couldn't see if there's anything in there. And I was like, let me candle it again. I candled it, and it looked like there was nothing in there. And thank God that Chris Panshab and Kevin Barron both yelled at me in a loving way and said, don't cut it, don't touch it, leave it alone. It's not a snake. Let it do its thing. And it exactly at 72 days, this little booger, where is this?
I'm happy you didn't listen to me.
They look very phallic at that age.
So at 72 days, this little nugget popped out. How freaking cute is that little baby gecko?
It's crazy that it can even fit in the egg. That was the one thing about cresteds that always blew my mind, is like, how did they fit in those things? It's wild.
And here's the crazy part is that it had to have, like, I woke up for work. I got dressed. I went to work. I was going to check the egg. I was like, nah, I'll check it when I get home. And it had to have hatched during the middle of the day because there was a slime trail coming out of the egg to where the gecko was sitting. And what's crazy is this photo specifically, you see there's no pip. The pip was on the underside of the egg. So it pipped out the bottom. And I never rolled the egg. You know, obviously I didn't mark it, but I never rolled it. I never moved it. I never switched which cubby it was in. It literally pipped out the bottom. And let me see. And that's it. It maintained its exact shape. Its perfect shape.
Wow.
And upon me like opening it a little bit with my finger, because it's so fragile at this point, it basically was like it almost felt like a Fabergé egg. Like there's this hollow, little leathery hollow shell, and there was very little moisture in there. So I don't know if when the gecko came out, it squirted some of the albumin or whatever out of there, or if it just used it all up. I mean, you can see he's got a chubby little butt and, you know, thick little midriff. It's a perfect little gecko. So how freaking cute is that? How freaking cute is that?
Look at that little guy.
Look at that little guy or girl. Who knows? And this is my first. I mean, I don't want to call it a Barrent, but this is my first Synctus with a broken line. So, and both mom and dad had perfect 5 bands. So we'll see what happens.
Do they go through a color change?
Yeah.
Like more pattern develops over time?
No, not the pattern. The pattern will stay exactly the same, but what'll happen is this pinkish color, this like like that pink color there will turn more into like a burnt orange.
Yeah,
which is actually kind of why I did the logo for the Instagram with the Amy eye on the continent of Australia, why I wanted to go that burnt orange color. And it's also difficult because the sand that I use is red. I'm sure it's dyed. So the adults have more of a red complexion, but when I spray them down with water, you can see it has that burnt orange color to it. And then those bands, those will get jet black. So
nice.
That's cool. Guys, awesome, I'm stoked. I got 4 pinhead crickets to try and feed it tonight. So as soon as I hang up with you guys, it's feeding time. We'll see what she does.
Thanks.
I'm still convinced these cave geckos just don't eat.
Really? You don't ever see them hunt?
I never see them out, but I'm usually asleep when they are. So.
Well, I mean, is there dead crickets in there?
I mean, there's stuff goes missing, but I never actually see it go missing. Like it just.
Oh, okay.
I get proof of life, and that's other than that. I mean, they look fine, but I texted Chris. I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm keeping these right. Like, I can't tell if they're eating. He's like, no, they are. They don't eat much and not often. So if they're still kicking, they're fine. I was like, okay.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah,
They're
and
cool.
Anna Maria named the baby Blumpkin. So
You're putting that on her?
It was her idea. It was her idea.
Okay.
It was.
Sure, Phil. Sure.
little baby Blumpkin.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, this show was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Facebook and Instagram as well. Hit us up. You need a cage, you need a rack. You buy a rack, you want to know when you're going to get it or what the status is of it. You can message us directly, and guess what? We'll tell you within a very short period of time. You'll get a response, which is like unheard of in the caging industry.
Quite.
So check that out. And then Puget Sound Pythons, the wonderful people in the PNW, the tag team of Jeff and Kendra.
The dynamic duo.
That's right.
They got puppies too.
Were those theirs?
I don't know. They had them.
I don't know. There was just,
they were
they just
adorable.
posted a picture of a bunch of puppies. You know, so yeah, we'll be back for THP on Thursday, and Corn Stars is coming up here again soon. Got to talk to Chris about that. Other than that, we will catch everybody later. Chondrocast, yeah,
Chondrocast.
We're talking about it. I gotta figure out when I can fit it in.
The annual episode's coming up.
Yep.
It's
almost Christmas, which means it's time for one. So
I like it.
I do too. It's good stuff.
Just a bunch of green snakes with Santa hats.
Covered in blood.
Oh, God. Oh.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. Everyone have a good evening.
Bye.